Tonight's Your Scary Story is utterly terrifying. It is about a girl who has been traumatized by her paranormal experiences, several of her paranormal experiences throughout her childhood. So we're going to talk about this. Let's get into it. Be prepared, guys, because this one is creepy. I know I say that a lot, but I'm telling you, this one's a little different. So tonight's submitter did tell me I could use her real name, and her real name is Farah. Ever since Farah was a little girl, she's been able to hear and see things that others cannot. Now, in her first childhood home, where most of these experiences took place, she said that the home was not new. It had a few previous owners, she just doesn't know who they were. Now, for the first experience, she did say that it had to be right after Christmas because they still had a Rudolph wreath hanging on their front door. Her room was right across from her parents' room, but her room was also above the garage, so it would get extremely cold. Now, as a child, Farah always had a difficult time sleeping, so she would often stay up pretty late playing with the dolls in her room. One thing that's important to note is that Farah had a deep fear of somebody breaking into their home. This is something that she was terrified of. It was one of her worst fears. One night, she is awake. It's one of these nights where she's just staying awake. She can't fall asleep, and she starts to get this really uneasy feeling. So she goes into her parents' room. Well, her parents fall asleep pretty quickly, so they are knocked out. So as soon as she goes to her parents' room, she sees that they're fast asleep, and she thinks to herself, you know what, I'm just overreacting, I have anxiety, I'm just gonna go back. And she turns around and she starts walking down the hallway towards her room. But before she can even get 2 steps into the hallway, she hears this horrible, demonic sounding, screeching noise. And then the front door just opens and slams shut. At this point, she is utterly terrified. So she busts into her parents' room and she wakes up her mom. And she tells her mom what she just heard. She's afraid somebody has broken into the home. Her mom quietly walks her back into her room, gets in bed with her, and says, listen, you're probably just imagining it or you're dreaming. Nothing is up here. Nothing is downstairs. I will sleep with you tonight. But Farah is insistent that something happened and that door opened and slammed and there was a loud screech. She's like, please go check, begging them to go check. So finally her father's like, you know what, I'm gonna go downstairs and I'm gonna remove the Rudolph wreath off the door because I think that's what probably made that sound. Again, she is insistent that this was not metal on metal. This was like a horrifying, demonic, blood-curdling screech is how she described it. But they did end up getting her to fall back asleep, and nothing actually happened for a few years after that. Well, her sister eventually ends up going off to college, and as soon as her sister goes off to college, she actually takes over her sister's room and her bed. So her sister had a bed frame, and she had never had a bed frame before. She had always slept on a mattress on the floor. Well, one night she's sleeping, and she hears this noise underneath her bed. It's like this, like something is scurrying underneath her bed. And then she looks, and there are dolls, little dolls, crawling out from underneath her bed, crawling on top of her bed frame, and then going into the closet. Now, she doesn't own any dolls like this, number one, and number two, her dolls don't move like that. They don't move like humans move, and these dolls were moving around like people. She said that this started happening often, and that eventually these dolls that would come out from underneath her bed would eventually disappear. But there was one doll that would come out of the closet that was persistent and remained, and this doll was the most terrifying of them all. She would be laying in her bed, unable to sleep, when suddenly she would hear the door open and then see these little hands form around the door, opening it further, and then a little doll peek its head out like this. This doll looked like a zombie Chucky is how she described it. It had black eyes, blood all over it, this dark gaping mouth that was somehow always gaping but smiling at the same time, and it would move in rigid movements like this towards her. She would sit there in terror watching this happen, trying to convince herself that this was paranoia and anxiety. She had horrible anxiety. So in her head, she's trying to rationalize what is happening to her, but she's seeing it every single night. After this, every time she was in this house, she felt like something was watching her. And again, she tried to chalk it up to just paranoia, but it was happening constantly. This girl was going through absolute hell. Well, when she was 15 years old, she ended up moving to the United States from Canada, where she grew up. Well, they have been staying with family and looking for houses for months at this point. It took them a really long time when they finally found a house. Now, when her mother found this house, she was at school. So when her mother picked her up from school, she drove her to this house. The minute they pulled up to this place, which was super close to her school, by the way, she told her mom, I don't like it. I don't like the feeling. Something is wrong with this place. Something bad is going to happen. I can feel it. It's haunted. So her mom just looks at her and says, you're being silly. You're just upset about the move. Nothing bad is going to happen here. You are going to be safe. You are going to be fine. You are just upset. Now, granted, Farah was upset about this move. She didn't want to move, but she was not lying about the feeling that she got. She would not have said it if she didn't feel it. And boy, did she feel it. And boy, was she right. A few months after moving in, she had a guitar that was hung up on her wall. She also had this stuffed animal that was a cat, and then she had her two real alive cats that would sit at her end of her bed and sleep with her. One night, Farah wakes up to this feeling like she's being choked by something, and then she grabs her neck and she feels her stuffed animal cat on her neck, like something is grabbing the cat and pushing it down on her neck, choking her. She can't breathe at this point and she's panicking. She grabs it and she's trying to pull it off and she can't at first. She finally gets it off of her and throws it across the room. She looks around the room, frantic, and nothing is there. There is no one there. Her cats are soundly sleeping and there is not any sound in the room. She is not seeing anything. It is silent. Well, a couple weeks later, she's sleeping in her bed when suddenly she wakes up to a noise. She doesn't know what it is at first, but then she realizes it's a loud smashing sound from her guitar, like something had picked up the guitar and slammed it against the wall. So she's super confused at this point, and as she's looking around trying to figure out what's going on, she hears this loud from the guitar. But again, she looks around her room, hoping not to see her guitar in pieces on the floor. It's not. Her guitar is completely in one piece hanging on her wall. And again, there is nothing in her room. Nothing that could have made that sound that she can see. Well, the next morning she wakes up and she's examining her guitar, trying to figure out what possibly could have made this noise, when she sees that a cord has been cut like someone cut it with scissors. It looked intentionally cut and it was just strung out from the guitar. So once again, she decides that she's going to tell her parents because she's had enough of this. So she goes downstairs and she tells her parents what she heard and what she saw with her guitar. And her parents once again are like, you're being over dramatic. You're upset about the move. Stop it. Now this is where it starts to get really creepy. Something very strange happens. She frequently gets massages because she was an athlete and she was often sore. So she would go to one massage spot and have one girl work on her always. She was comfortable with this woman. Well, when she went to this massage parlor and asked for this woman, the woman apparently didn't work there anymore. So she had to have someone else work on her. Now, Farah was uncomfortable with this. She didn't want anyone else really giving her a massage, but she had no choice. So she meets the woman and she immediately feels discomfort. This girl sounds very intuitive to me, by the way, because she's right about most things. So after she feels this discomfort, she wants to leave. She doesn't want to be there anymore, but they've already paid for the service, so she has to go through with it. So she tries to just tell herself, Farah, you're being paranoid. It's just because it's a new person. Calm down, enjoy the massage. Well, the girl starts giving her a massage and Farah starts making conversation with her. She asks her how long she's been a massage therapist, and the woman says 20 years. So Farah figures she's a pro at this, but then the woman starts asking her questions. She starts asking her what ethnicity she is, what faith she believes in, and what languages she speaks. Well, Farah is Egyptian. She's from Egypt, and this woman seems to be fascinated by this. Fascinated more so by the fact that Egypt is very close to Morocco. And so she asks Farah, have you ever been to Morocco? Do you know anybody that is from Morocco? Now, then this woman just keeps going on and on and on about this Morocco situation. She wants to know everything about Morocco. And it's been going on for an hour at this point. And at this point, Farah starts starting to get uncomfortable. She just wants the massage to be over and she wants to leave. Well, then the woman starts massaging her shoulders and her scalp. So now she has to flip Farah over, and Farah is looking up at her at this point. So she starts on her scalp, and then she moves to her shoulders, and she's still talking to her. And then she goes to like her neck area, and she starts pushing down hard on her neck. So hard that Farah can barely breathe. So Farah asks her to stop. She tells her, "You're hurting me, please stop." And the woman just very calmly says, "Honey, I'm not even pushing that hard. It's just the bad energy in your body." At this point, Farah feels like she's going to pass out. She feels like she's not even getting enough oxygen to her brain. And she actually felt this way for hours after the massage, and still to this day sometimes feels that feeling. Well, the massage is finally over and Farah leaves. But for days afterwards, this feeling of not getting enough oxygen to her brain persists. And then come the nightmares and the night terrors immediately after this massage. Farah starts waking up in the middle of the night, seeing her mother come into her room and stand at the foot of her bed. And then she hears this screaming sound that's not coming from her. She doesn't know where it's coming from, but it's terrifying her. The next day, she wakes up and she goes downstairs and she asks her mom, "Did you come into my room and check on me last night?" Because her mom would often do this at night. But her mom said, "No, I was exhausted from work last night. I did not check on you last night." So who was in Farah's room? Then came the dreams. The dreams were awful. She would have these vivid nightmares that something demonic was screaming in her ear.
Welcome to hell.
One night, after one of these dreams, she wakes up and she looks up and there's this girl standing above her, more like hovering above her. She has long, dark black hair, blacker than black, and it is long, almost to the floor. The mouth is gaping open. She said it looked almost unhinged. Black as black eyes. She was maybe 6 years old, wearing a light nightgown, and she was just screaming in her face, but also sucking in at the same time, almost like she was feeding on Farah. Farah was so terrified she couldn't even scream. She sat there for a couple minutes in horror until finally she's able to scream. And as soon as she let out that scream, it disappeared. She said that she is a Christian and she has never been so terrified in her entire life. After she woke up, she started playing Christian music. She started praying. She would read scripture, and she didn't sleep for 4 days after that. That's how terrified she was. When she finally, on the 4th day, was able to fall asleep, she passed out. When she tells her parents finally about this, she is exhausted, she is tired, she is crying, she is begging them, and it seems like it's finally sunk in for them. They finally call a pastor over for brunch, and they tell the pastor everything that has been going on, and the pastor starts praying over her. Then more people came over to the house and started praying over her, so she got a lot of prayer, and thankfully nothing significant has happened after this. Now, she does here and there see things out of the corner of her eye, but she is planning on moving out soon due to unrelated circumstances. But all she hopes for is that this thing doesn't follow her. That's all she hopes for, because she cannot fathom experiencing this for any longer. So what did you guys think of that story? That one freaked me out for some reason. First of all, I hate crawling children, but crawling dolls, and then the Chucky doll that had blood on it, no thank you. I'll pass on that. And seeing your mother standing in front of you and then hearing you scream, but the scream isn't actually coming from you. I don't know if you guys got that part. When she was screaming, she was hearing her own scream, but it wasn't coming from her. So that is so terrifying. I should have added that part. I'm sorry. I think this was 100% demonic. This was a demonic entity that was hunting her down for some reason. And I feel so bad for her because these experiences were so terrifying. But I also do think that she is gifted. She was able to intuitively decipher what was bad and what was good before she was even able to walk into a home. So when they had pulled up, she was able to sense that something bad was in that house. She knew it beforehand. which makes me think that she's gifted. And then the other reason I think she's gifted is because of all of the things that she was seeing. And once again, I think that when you are gifted and you don't know it, or you don't know how to channel it correctly, that it invites a lot of evil in, because you're susceptible to seeing the other side, and they know that. And so you're attacked if you don't protect yourself. And that's why I think telling these stories is so important, because it's so easy to get attacked by something if you are open in any way, shape, or form, and so many people are. Now, as far as her mother standing in front of her bed, normally I would think that this was a mimic, but I do think it was demonic. I don't think it was a mimic. But one of the people on YouTube that supports my channel, I hate to call you guys subscribers or followers, because you guys are supporters and you're my friends. And so one of my friends on here told me to tell you guys that you never ever acknowledge a mimic. You don't respond to a mimic. You pretend they are not there. That it is super dangerous to respond to a mimic. So I am just informing you on that, because I was asked to tell you guys that. So just remember, if you hear anything that you think is a mimic, ignore it. And how you decipher, I think, if something is a mimic or not, is just if they're mimicking someone that you love or someone that you know, or if they're mimicking you. A mimic would be a mimic, so it would be mimicking something. So I hope that helps. I hope you understand that. So please tell me what you guys think about the story. Do you guys think this is demonic? What do you think was going on here? What do you think the whole doll situation was? Those weren't her dolls that were moving around. They were dolls that she didn't own. And what do you think that Chucky doll was? I think the entire thing was demonic. That's just my opinion. But she wants to hear your opinions, and I want to hear them too. And she will probably be in the comments, because she did say I could use her real name. So if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, drop them below. And with that being said, I'm not going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Karen Coletti 3650. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you so much. You said that you love my channel, and I love that you love my channel. That means so much to me. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching my videos. Thank you for commenting and telling me that, because I love hearing that so much. It really does help me in so many ways when you guys comment things like that, because I work so hard on these videos, and to have your support means everything to me. So thank you for being one of my supporters, and thank you so much for just watching my content. I appreciate you. I hope that you know that, and I love you, girl. Taylor Vicioni 5813. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I probably butchered that, and I'm so sorry if I did, but you are so sweet. You left such a sweet comment, and I appreciate you so much for that comment. That comment made me smile. It was on a couple of my videos like previous to this one. I actually didn't see it until just now, but I appreciated that so much. So thank you for supporting me like that, and thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for watching my content and commenting and pushing out my videos. I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified next time I tell a true scary story. They are long versions one night and shorts the next night. I try to do different stories in the shorts every other night, but sometimes they're just the shorter versions of my extended videos. But recently I've been trying to do like different stories, like new stories for shorts. So look out for those. And then I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.